You got to sacrifice yourself in order to be yourself. What's going on, my high vibrational individual expressions of God on earth? It's your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. Today, brothers and sisters, we got to reveal, expand, illuminate, and simplify kind of a continuation of what we talked about yesterday in a private message. And shout out and thanks everybody who paid and participated in the series, the 2-hour message that we did yesterday on what's happening on April the 8th, 2024. An extension of that is your DNA upgrade. But your DNA can't upgrade because of the current upgrade or the current DNA. So as we mentioned in yesterday, we went through the 21 components of what's taking place on April the 16th. As you guys know, or should know, you have a higher self and a lower self. Nothing in life is free. The universe doesn't give you nothing for free. There must be blood sacrifice. If you go through all of the Bible, as we talked about yesterday, and again, for the people that didn't take the class, remember, you can get this just assimilated. Just ask the Big G what is going on this eclipse. For if you didn't take the class yesterday, just make sure that you download it from God, Him, her, or itself. All through the Bible, there's sacrifices, blood sacrifices. Hollywood demonized, for lack of a better term. As I talked about yesterday, this is a counterfeit version of the original. I got to say it kind of slow. This is a counterfeit version of the original. You chose to come here to upgrade your DNA, but it does require a blood sacrifice. What Hollywood does is they sacrifice family members instead of sacrificing themselves, a.k.a. their ego. Now, today's message, like yesterday's message, like the day before yesterday's message, this ties into the eclipse. If you go throughout all the scripture, every time the eclipse happened, as I said yesterday, every time eclipse happened, when Moses took the blood of the doorpost, that was an eclipse. The destroy, that was an eclipse. The fire, cloud, a pillar by fire, that was an eclipse. As I said yesterday, as we broke down and we went through the scriptures, so now you know you can't be conned. Again, if you didn't take the class, just, you can Google it, research it yourself. There is a solar cycle. It's a shadow cycle. Solar means shadow. This is for you to go into the chamber of reflection and deal with your consciousness. As it talked about in Revelation chapter 11, verse 8, that we broke down yesterday. It's very important that you got a new conscious language, a new conscious control, a new conscious act, so that way you can't be punked no more. As I talked about yesterday, it's very, very important, brothers and sisters. As I mentioned again yesterday, this is a simulation hypothesis. There is what is called adverse possession. Adverse possession. You are right now adverse possessed. That's why you got to sacrifice your ego, your current self. So what Hollywood does is they sacrifice you. You don't get to the top. You cannot name me one star that's in Hollywood that a close family member died before they blew up during the process. It's very like recently, like that one singer. Look at Kanye and his mom. I can just go to name somebody in Hollywood and there's a close family member, or like in the case of Lil and your boy, like Dame Dash, and they throw somebody under the bus. That's called the law of equivalent exchange. But what they're doing wrong, like what's wrong in the Bible, and I talk about this inside of my book, Vatican Control, which you guys already got, you already know. I also talk about this inside of the book, The Cosmic Crop Tour. As we talked about yesterday, your job is to understand the 4- and 5-dimensional thinking. Now you're no longer, 3-dimensional thinking is no longer on the play. It simply means that it's being destroyed or removed by a higher dimensional thinking, which allows you to progress, develop, and accomplish. But you have to die. So what I'm going through right now is the death of the ego, the death of the shadow self, the soul. So that's why everything, but if you don't notice what happens, you don't understand that your mind dictates your results. The results doesn't dictate your mind. And so what happened is, as we talked about, when we talked about the consecration or conscious language, we don't have the ability to use mental picturing to create vibrational occupation, which results in vibrational chemistry. And so what we're talking about is you got to kill yourself. Now, obviously, shouldn't have to say this, but I'm not talking about physically. I mean that the current version of yourself has to die. You got to have a whole new self-concept. Because if the current self-concept is working, there would be no need to change. No matter how up or how down you are in the current situation. Mind dictates, not situation. You may be in a situation where it looks like everything is all peaches and cream and rainbows and unicorns. But if your mind is not right, that's just temporary. Nothing is really created or destroyed. Everything is just manipulated by cosmology. And so what's happening on April the 8th is another manipulation of cosmology that's talked about as we broke down yesterday inside of all of the scriptures. So now that the new self-construct is here, your self-construct, your personality, your perception is mirrored back to you. The mirror can't smile at you unless you smile at it. God can't smile. God can't bless. Source, the universe is just a mirror. When you look in the mirror, what you see is what you be. Right now, where you at is what you be. That's why that's what you see. And so that is what we sacrifice. Now we got to establish, oh, that sounds great. How do we sacrifice? As we talked about yesterday when we broke down, even on Resurrection Day, when we broke down and I talked about how to bring yourself or resurrect yourself by casting your net on the right side so you can catch 153 fish, just like it talks about in John chapter 21, verse 11. Well, this means you have to abandon the ego self. That's why the sun is being blocked by the moon. So let's use the word testosterone, for lack of a better term, it's not even male or female. Remember, it's a male disposition. So this masculine disposition that's usually ego-driven, because men are more egocentric than women. So when we talked about the 20 points yesterday, when we went through the supreme, sophisticated, superior, spiritual, mental disposition that is the result of combining Enoch and Melchizedek to create a new nine-ether melanated source code being on earth. Because 5 plus 4 equals 9. When you understand that there's 5, and then there's 4, there's 5 in Enoch, and then there's 4 in Melchizedek. And as we went through this DNA upgrade using 2nd Barak, chapter 70, verse 7 yesterday, and we broke this down again, that reveals, explains, illuminates, and simplifies the nine-ether being, that's you. So that is a geomagnetic reversal that you have to do. And so all I'm simply saying is, in English, that's what it means you got to kill yourself, the current self. Your current self-concept must be sacrificed in order for you to manifest a new self-concept. I'm going to say that again. This is almost impossible because nobody's really talking about what's really going on during the eclipse. Everybody's talking about all of the distractions. And we went through all of that yesterday. I talked about them too. We talked about the Devil's Comet. We talked about the ships, NASA firing rockets into the sun. We talked about Nibiru. We talked about the NCC SOP 303. We talked about, Jonah. We talked about Nineveh. We talked about, the shadow cycle, global warming. We talked about the blood sacrifice. We talked about all of the stuff that everybody else is talking about all over the internet. especially the red heifer sacrifice. They built an altar, slaughtering the red heifer. We talked about Magog. Talk about the battle of Armageddon. We talk about the Apocrypha. All of this stuff is just a distraction. The only thing that's happening is the abandonment of the ego self. God is giving you the tools to finally get out of adverse possession. We're all possessed by something called an ego. The crazy thing is the people that say that they don't have the ego, them the fools that you want to be careful of. Because you cannot exist without the ego. The only difference is we trade out the selfish ego for a spiritual one. That's it. That's what the DNA upgrade is about. It's about killing your current version of yourself. So in order for you to manifest, you got to change your self-construct. Because the current self is what is manifesting everything else. Everything in your life is just the vibrational equivalent of the current self. There's a free book. Not free, but there's a book that, you can read it. It's kind of, it's not that long. It's 130 something pages. The title of the book is called The Laws of Being, the Occult Forces in Man. The Occult Forces in Man. Then another subtitle, Know Thyself, is the first essence of nature's law. That intelligence manifests inside of what we call the material realm. Now again, the title of the book is called The Laws of Being. Matter of fact, let me send a picture. And inside the book, it talks about something called intelligences. And this intelligence is what we use really to destroy ourselves. Because these intelligences, they exist outside of the body. And so it's difficult for us to really truly know our true core self. Because we have intelligence. So what does that mean? That just simply means that you're listening here and you're listening to what I'm saying today. And you have something in your unconscious brain. That something that you have in your unconscious brain is everything that you've been taught and everything that you've learned and everything that is occupying your mind, your will, your emotions, your imaginations, and your imagination and your intelligence or your intellect. Now, that is your ego. Your ego is the part of you that violates Romans 12:2, that says, let this mind be in you. That was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation. That means he started from scratch and built up his own reputation. He left his divinity and put on humanity to show you how to leave your humanity and put on divinity. So what I'm talking about is putting on divinity. Putting on a divine mindset that says, dare I say it, you are the vibrational equivalent of God on earth. You literally represent God on earth. While on this planet, you are representing source code. That's almost impossible to believe. It's almost impossible because your entire life, like me, you've been told you are worth the center you will. In fact, we gravitate to that because we are being that. That's that demon that has to be sacrificed. We don't think highly enough of ourselves. You can tell by, especially, all of us, regardless of what level you are, because there's levels to this game. And so no matter what level of being you're on, the law of being, you're not on the law of being God. You're being, but you're not being God. But then the question is, who are you being? Well, you being Jimbo, Sally Sue, me, I'm being MT33. That ain't God, though. So that was a guy he used to do blood over intent. He was on YouTube. He was teaching people how to put their finger write down their intent on a piece of paper, and then put their blood over it, a blood sacrifice. They had the right idea just to, like Hollywood. Hollywood thinks that if you go out and kill somebody, you're sacrificing because the universe requires something of equivalent exchange. That's something you have to give up, you have to sacrifice that you put on the altar. Remember Isaac, Jacob, he's going to sacrifice his son until God provided him with the ram. The ram represents the brain because you have RAM inside of your brain. So that means that until you really just sacrifice whatever's in your brain, what's in your brain? Well, habits, patterns, traditions. At the base, at the core, what's happening on April, I shared the video with you guys earlier, which I talked about again yesterday. And it's extremely important because, unfortunately, whatever degree the pendulum swings to the left, it also swings to the right. So a lot of people will be becoming more anal retentive and more evil. Just watch. And remember what you heard at first. You're going to be treated even with more disdain because you have chosen to change your brain. You're going to be treated with more disdain if you have chosen to change your brain, to occupy your mind with your desire. When you have a joyful, confident expectation, that really aggravates demons. If you have a joyful, confident spirit of expectation in the midst of extreme poverty, because people ask me all the time, how do you know when your DNA has been upgraded? Because remember, everybody, as I talked about yesterday, everybody's not a candidate for a DNA upgrade. So you're going to find people that have or don't have what I call vibration of thought. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, inside of Revelation 3:12, the pillars in the walls, and we broke down in Jeremiah 1:18, we talked about U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Why is the path of that through U.S., Canada, and Mexico? And we tied into the blood over the doorpost. We talked about when Pharaoh made that decree and said the firstborn male child, X is male, the X chromosome. We broke that down yesterday. That's what's being sacrificed, that male ego. Remember, everybody has male and female. Now, you can externalize it like everybody do and make this shit physical and go out and kill people and do all this other stuff like they do in Hollywood. But this is talked about in 2nd Ezra chapter 5. Now, remember, these are non-canonized books that we broke down yesterday. It's very important because the Bible says, let this be or let them be for signs. Luke 21:25. Luke 11:52. Your job is to over and understand the most important thing that, unfortunately, is almost impossible to assimilate. That is John 10, 34, I think it is. We broke all of this down. And matter of fact, we'll look this one up. I think it's John 10. Basically, we all heard that says, do you not know that ye are gods? It said in the Old Testament, and it says in the New Testament. The Old Testament is Psalms 82:6. So, New Testament is John 10:34. So what's the problem? Go post that on Facebook and go tell your preacher. So Jesus, John 10:34. Jesus answered them saying, is it not written in your law that I have said, ye are gods? Verse 34, John 10:34. In New Living Translation, it is written in your own scriptures that God said to certain leaders of the people, I say that you are gods. Now, we know the word God means theos. Theos is a general name for a deity. But underneath the word theos is the word H-O. That's where Jehovah gets his name from. Hova, H-O. That's what God really means in the Greek. But I don't know why they were even using Greek. And so whole has to do, H-O, just simply, it has to do with being state. It has to do with a mental disposition. So you're choosing a mental disposition that's not a general name of a deity. So the whole Bible is about deities. Not just one, but a bunch of them. But they tell us also the word Elohim, Elohai, El Shaddai, El Shaddai. All of those are plural words. But if you read the Samaritan text, the Mesopotamian text, Canaanite text, some of the other texts, they all talk about all of these other gods. But for some reason or other, they was taken out. So we got a conundrum. What is the conundrum? The conundrum is we have what Jesus talks about in Matthew chapter 15. So our sodium and potassium, cell-to-cell communication, our cells are not communicating in a manner that allows us to turn our carbon into crystals. So that's what's taking place on April, on the solar eclipse. So we got to bypass the ego. But remember, the destiny of mankind is not left up to mankind. The destiny of mankind is left up to the God kind, the God class. Maybe we did a whole series on it. So when you think like God, you manifest like God. Remember, many are called, few are chosen. So we go to, and let's read this one also, Matthew chapter 15, verse 6. Matthew chapter 15, verse 6. And it's, let's see if we can find this in the King James. So 15, let's start with verse 5. But you say that if anyone says to his father or his mother, whatever you would have received from me is a gift devoted to God. Verse 6. He need not honor his father or his mother with this gift. Thus, you nullifying the word of God for the sake of your tradition. Verse 7. Ye hypocrites, Isaiah prophesied correctly about this. The reason what I like about this verse in the King James says, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the command of God of none effect by your tradition. So because we have tradition, we nullify the command of God. If you reverse engineer that scripture. So no matter who we are, no matter what we got going on, we got a belief system. I got one, you got one, everybody and their grandmother got one, some of us got a plethora. You gotta throw that shit on the altar, bro. Sis, you gotta put that on the altar. But ain't nobody volunteered to give up their sacred cows. Nah, man, you gotta fight niggas for their sacred cows. Nobody wants to sacrifice their tradition. So we prefer traditions of men. Because, not you personally, but people we all know are, we're man or men pleasers. There's nothing wrong with it. Let's keep it real. No, everybody likes to be liked. We want to, all of us want to be loved. We all want to be valued. We all want to be respected. But it should not come at the expense of your private, productive relationship with source or self. So that's what Matthew 15, verse 6 is saying. He's telling you that you honoring your tradition before your mother and your father and before source. And you remember your tradition is habits or thoughts that you have repeated that turn into a pattern, that turn into a destiny, a dear canal tradition. There's only one power, brothers and sisters, one. So how do we get so many different religions? And I could use electricity to light up my house, and I posted this yesterday on Facebook. Or I can use that same electricity to burn it down. It's all about how you use it. So there's only one power. So no matter where you are in life, there's only one power. Your tradition is limiting your power. That's all I'm saying. Now, the $1 million question is, what does the word tradition mean? right? If your tradition is limiting your power, but then we got to kind of look at just, a little bit that word, tradition.
3862. Paradosis. Paradosis.
So that word tradition means paradosis. Paradosis, very similar to the word, parable. So tradition means giving over to. It means the act of giving up or the act of surrendering. It is giving over to that which is done by word of mouth or by tradition of instruction, narrative, and precepts. It is delivered by the substance of a teaching. So a tradition is also, underneath the word tradition, is the word transmission. So a tradition is simply a transmission of some type of a ordinance or law, usually verbally and or written. So tradition really, if you keep going, which we won't continue to go down that, there's a bunch of other words underneath that word, it simply means whatever is frequently repeated. It doesn't have to be true, it just has to be repeated. It means whatever is delivered verbally brings about a command or a right, R-I-T-E-S. Bring my book, right, magic, and I broke down the 5 rights, right, and raw light. So anybody that delivers something over and over again, now that's called advertising. Some people call it, exposure therapy. That's why you got a repetition. That's all we all learned. So repetition creates habit. Habit creates pattern. Patterns create tradition. Bam, sacrifice that. Why? Because that tradition creates what is called condemnation, punishment, scourge, torment, and death, according to the Bible. So your tradition, whatever it is, your belief system, whatever it is, doesn't allow the vibration of thought to be high enough. You got vibration in your thought, it's just not high enough to overcome the current habit pattern. So you're getting assistance in the form of that. They major see, if you've been following NASA's website, and they've been looking at the solar flares and what's going on at the core of the Earth. The core of the Earth, as I talked about yesterday on a private message, one of the things that nobody's talking about that's taking place on April the 8th is let's use the word geomagnification of the core, the center of the Earth, causing it to expand. So if the center of the Earth expands, the crust on top of the Earth expands. That turns into the 5 calamities that we talked about yesterday inside of the private message. And those 5 calamities are taking place right now as we speak. And they're just going to get worse. So what is the point? The point is, regardless of where you are, that your mind dictates your results. So the Bible says that we broke down yesterday of wars, rumors of wars, and what did it say? Chill. Time's not yet. Just kick back. Don't stress and don't worry, because everybody's going to be saying the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But according to what we broke down yesterday, not time yet. So what do you got to do? You got to get into the laws of being. So remember that PDF that I was telling you guys about, and that's just go to Google, type in Laws of Being PDF, and that's an old book that image that I just sent you guys, because it talks about what we mentioned a few days ago, and also in the private message about your being state. You choose who you be, but you can only choose what you believe. You can only choose what you believe you deserve. And based upon your tradition, your patterns, and your habits that was given to you by the preacher, and your mom and your dad, who didn't, like me, I did the best I did what I thought was right at the time, and now I realize that all I did was limit. I just passed on my limitations to my children. And so now my children are older, they can question and realize that, hey, Dad feared certain things because of the way he was raised. So I've been on my own since 13, raised in the hood. So I taught my kids to be hyper vigilant. Like my daughters are hyper vigilant. They know they go somewhere, they front back, they're looking up at the trees, they're looking on the cars. Because being a cop, working in the supermax prison, I pass on that tradition. We don't call it tradition, but it is. But traditions are beliefs. But those are things that I've learned through my experiences. So instead of sacrificing a cow a goat, or instead of doing the biblical sacrifice, or instead of going to Hollywood, taking your mom and your dad and have them murdered and killed and all of this stuff, instead of sacrificing an animal or sacrificing a family member, sacrifice your ego. Because once you understand that the universe we live in is based upon the laws of being, which is based upon the laws of equivalent exchange, you cannot receive nothing if you have not given nothing. Even the Bible says, give, and it shall be given. Whatever degree that you give, that same degree is going to be given back. So I choose to give energy. In fact, I choose to give what God gave me to give. God gave me breath in my lungs. He gave me life in my body. And he gave me a destiny, a purpose in the form of attributes and characteristics. So now it's getting really, really interesting because of John 10:34 and Psalms 82:6 that is going up against Matthew 15:6, which is your traditions, which are the teachings that you've heard from other reverends, doctors, and bishops and master teacher 33s that says you are not John 10:34. I know no preacher on this planet that would say you are John 10:34 to you. I've never been to a church where I heard a preacher say Psalms 82 is legit. From the perspective of you can own it. Now, at the end of Psalms 82 is the smoking gun. One of the smoking guns. The other smoking gun is Isaiah 45:7. That's what the eclipse is about. Remember, the Bible says that stars, moon, skies, they were all made for signs, symbols, and seasons. If you want to know what's going on, look up in the mother beep sky. Don't ask your preacher. Don't even ask me. You want to know what's really going on? You might want to get you some cosmology. Because ain't shit that's happening unless God is universe, source, whatever term. I don't get hung up on the words. So Psalms 8:26 says, I have said, ye are God, and all of you are children of the Most High. Whether it's Inky and Il, whoever your definition is, the Most High, King and New, I don't care, whatever you got. There is a frequency wave of vibration that says that, hey, we are children of the Most High. So the offspring of a thing rose up to be just like the thing. If you look at that, if you look up that word, children, it's a very interesting Hebrew word. Let me pull that one up too.
Psalms H11:21. Bane. Bane.
B-A-N-E, like the dude that spanked Batman in Batman 3. Remember his name was Bane. B-A-N-E. Bane. Bane means characteristics, sons of injustice, sons of men of God, i.e. angels. It means sons as a builder of family name. So it has to do with really fallen angels or sons whose characteristics is in injustice and unrighteousness. According to the definition. Bane, that's why Bane was the bad guy in Batman. But, like everything, you got to go look further down the rabbit trail. Underneath the word Bane is another Hebrew word.
Psalms H11:29. Bana. Bana.
Bana, B-A-N-A. N-A, Bana. So this word really means, underneath that, it means to build or to establish. So we are sons of God. We're here to build and to establish, to restore, to make permanent. Bana. Bana simply means someone, so children are here to build or to erect. And that word simply means we are building and erecting unrighteousness and building and erecting injustice, which I found very interesting because we are children of the Most High. But then you got to remember that word Most High.
59:45. Elyon. Elyon.
Elyon. That would remember all of these words, life and death in the power of the tongue. And when you look at that word Elyon, just like all of these words, it means king exalted above a monarch, highest or most high, ruler, either monarch or angel or prince. So, and it usually refers to masculine singularity. So we're talking about really like a masculine disposition, Elyon. Now, all of this is the stuff that we're throwing under the bus, that we are totally getting rid of. Because when you look up and you go on, you keep going down underneath the word Elyon, it's another Hebrew word. See if I can, if that one will play for me. Basically, it's L-A, not L-A, A-L-A, A-L-A, which simply means, and it's pronounced like Allah, like the God Allah. It means to ascend, to go up, to spring up, to go over, to extend, to excel, to be taught up, to bring up. All of this has to do with ascension. So what this is really saying, we look at the word Elohim, it means that we are all children of ascension. So what's happening on April the 8th? A frequency wave of vibration is being sent to assist you with ascension. Ascension being elevation of consciousness by crucifying your traditions. So we just broke down Matthew 15:6. Now we just broke down Psalms 82:6. But we know that we are all children of the Most High. But that, now remember, we are fallen. If you use that term, that simply means that our disposition is not the highest that it can and should be. And we know that also if we read the next verse in Psalms 82:7, which says, "But ye shall die like men, and ye shall fall like one of the princes." So your job and my job is to elevate from a fallen state, which says you believe you're not a child of the Most High. You are fallen in consciousness. Remember, you cannot be on this planet unless you have a tradition, a pattern, and a habit or a belief system that says, I'm well done. I am not God. That keeps you on this planet. And how many people walk around honestly believe that they are God or extensions of God, which simply means you have the attributes and characteristics inside of you, as we just read, that's like God. But the Bible says that we shall die like men. And that word men in that verse is the English word Adam, A-D-A-M. And that's very, very interesting because, again, that's the first man. And so that was a mixture, a manipulation, and you go back to all of the stories, and it all talks about the same thing, with the fact that our DNA was manipulated. You can, especially in the ancient texts, I'm not talking about the biblical narrative, but in a lot of the ancient texts, it really breaks down and it talks about that the word Adam has to do with a race of people, not just one man. And at the base of the car, that word means red, ruddy, it means Nazarite, or the word Nazarene. It means redden, It means to glow red, to look red, ruddy. The word A-D or A-W-D-A-M. And again, that's a whole nother study for a whole another time. But all we're simply saying today is the vibrational level of your thought has to be increased. So it's time to break your conditioning that we've all received. And the way that we break our conditioning is found in Romans 12:2 and Isaiah 45:7. So before we read Romans 12, let's read Isaiah 45:7, because this is one of my favorite verses, especially when I'm talking to a traditional Cretan. It will assist with over, under, and understanding the higher level of consciousness. If we go up a little bit, in Isaiah 45, verse 5, it says, I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God besides me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. As also in the book of Enoch, we also talked about that a little bit yesterday in a private message. Isaiah 45:6, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none besides me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. We talk about the Egyptian book of coming forth by day and by night, the Egyptian book of the dead, the book of creation. Only one frequency where one dude said that. And that was a god by the name of Enki. When he was going up against, Enki and Il, King Anu, when we look at the Samaritan text. Verse 7 is the smoking gun, Isaiah 45, verse 7. For I form the light, and I create darkness. I make peace, and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Now, the reason why, and then we can keep going, like verse 8 is like crazy. Isaiah 45:8, it says, now drop down, ye heavens, from above, and let the skies pour down righteousness. 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 We broke this down yesterday. What's happening on April the 8th? Then it says, verse Isaiah 45:8, let the earth open, and let them bring forth salvation, and let righteousness spring up together. I, the Lord, have created this. So something's coming down from the skies. It's called righteousness. The earth is opening up. We call that an earthquake. And out of the earth opening, salvation comes forth. Your salvation is coming forth from this calamity, as we broke down yesterday. The problem is, I know nobody that's talking about what I'm talking about when it comes to what's happening on April the 8th, like we broke down yesterday. It's very, very important, because all of these terms, frequencies, waves, and vibrations, are very important. Like the word righteousness is the word shedek in Hebrew. Righteousness, again, what is right, what is just, what is normal, justness or justice, attributes and characteristics of source. That should be your disposition. And then the earth, if you got the attributes and characteristics of source, the earth, sodium and potassium pump, mitochondrial DNA, what is the most powerful part of the human body that we talked about yesterday? So what's happening is you're getting a mitochondrial DNA activation. That's what's taking place. But it doesn't work until you kill yourself. By killing yourself, I mean abandoning your habits, your patterns, your traditions, your ego, your current belief system. So what's blocking you from success is you. I don't gonna blame everybody else, but if you want to see the devil, just look in the mirror. So what are you saying? So we just read it. God says that, hold on, I form the light, I create the darkness, I make peace, I create evil. So That means the devil's out of a job. Because God is saying, I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. But remember, before that, it says, I'll make sure that you guys don't get it twisted. When it comes to humanity, I am the Lord. There is none else. There is no God besides me. All of the other texts that's written 6,000 years before the Bible was a thought form say the same thing. And you sent two dudes that was down here. According to all of the Mesopotamian, Samaritan, the Canaanite, all of the Egyptian, every other culture except Greco-Roman or the Greeks and the Romans, except the Council of Nicaea, there was one dude. Now he got a plethora of names. But at the end of the day, it was the only entity that was benevolent towards mankind. Every other entity said, kill them all, wipe them out. So during the flood, all the other entities, they left this planet, if you want to use that term, allowed the flood to happen. But Enki told Ninhinshin, who we call Noah, bruh, something bad can happen. Get your family and get a couple other mother folks, get some animal seeds, and so that way we can restart this. And all the other gods was pissed off because he was benevolent towards mankind, his creation. How come that's just not in the Bible, though? That's not said for another time. Now, my boy Billy Carson, man, that's one thing I like about Billy Carson. He talks about this shit all the time. To me, he's one of the foremost experts in the area of the ancient Samaritan doctrine and the Emerald tablets, and all this ancient text that I'll be reading. Because if you read the next verse after Isaiah 45:8, 45:9 is even crazier. Woe to him that shivereth with his master. Let the potsherd strive with the potsherds of the earth. Shall the clay say to him that fashioned it, what makest thou? Or thy work? He hath no hands. Thou know, can the potter say to the clay, make me thus? That's basically what it's saying. Meaning, we are clay, they the potter. So however they make us, whatever they say, whatever your destiny, your dear Kinnear, you're supposed to carry it out. And we can keep going on in Isaiah chapter 45. I really highly recommend that you guys read that verse because it really helps you understand that there's only one power. Now, that's on this planet, we put it that way. There's a bunch of other powers, but the power that runs this planet, I would not call that power source. I would just call that power the supreme power on this planet. Now, you may call it, everybody else call it source. Hey, I ain't got no problem with that either, because technically, that power is the source on this planet. The other powers, I'm using the word, are left this planet, or they're not involved in the, let's use the word, management of this planet. So you have to go back to the text that's written 6,000 years before this one. Like I said, and that may be the next series that I do is timeline and go through the ancient Mesopotamian history and culture, because especially after April the 8th, most people don't understand what's happening. Like I talk about inside of my book, the key of knowledge. Many of us have lost that key, and we don't understand what that key is. So Matthew 15:6 lets everybody know we got a problem, and that problem is our tradition. Psalms 82:6, John 10:34 tells us the solution to all of our problems is we got to put on a mental disposition of God. We got to be God. But Psalms 82:8 tells us we probably won't do that, so we're going to die like a man dies. So gods don't die the way men do. So there's a difference between a God and a man. So if you choose to be a man, you're going to die like one. If you choose to think like a man, you're gonna die. However man dies, that's gonna what's gonna happen to you. But if you choose to do what I'm doing, you choose to think and carry yourself like I wish a Negro would. If you carry yourself like a fucking god or a goddess, you're not gonna die like a man. You're gonna rise like a god because gods are sin. Men don't. So we have to understand the difference between gods and men. And that takes us, again, to Romans 12. Because then we get to look at, okay, how do I be a God? I don't want to be, I don't want to be a peasant. Well, you go to Romans 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies, more than one, a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. So the first thing that you do is like, Source, what you got for me, dog? I'm here to establish your will on this planet. Verse 2, Romans 12:2. And be not conformed to this world. So whatever's going on in the world, you shouldn't be doing it. From the perspective of conformity. So conformity means abandonment of the authentic self. Since my thing is not playing, I can't really break it down. Up there you go.
49:64. Sushematitzo.
And we broke it down this many times before, so I ain't gonna waste your time going through it. Conform simply means that you got a brain, but you ain't using it as you using TD Jake's brain. Are you doing like my Muslim buddies walk around here in every freaking word the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I cannot talk to, and I'd rather talk to a Christian than talk to a Muslim. It's like, damn, you're about brainwashed. Man, I don't care what do you say. All they do is regurgitate what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. That word, susematizo, means to conform oneself, one's mind and one's character to another person's pattern. Shit. Damn. I have to take a picture of that one. Susematizo. Man, the average Negro, show me a Negro that can think for him or herself. Everybody's talking about what some dude in a white coat said. Do you think for yourself? Like, honestly, be for real. Come on, man. Y'all stop playing. How many people do you know think for yourself? Now, it's not rocket science, but it is. The hardest thing in the world to do. What happens when you think for yourself? I can tell if you think for yourself. You're just like me. You're a lone wolf. If you think for yourself, who the fuck you gonna call and talk to? Like, for real. Are you serious? If you think for yourself, if you got a brain that literally sits in a room with a piece of paper and a pen and come up with original thought, thoughts come into your brain, you examine them and say, nope, not that one, nope, not that one, nope, not that one. That means you entertain a bunch of folks. You sit down, you talk to people, get advice. So, okay, what should I do, man? And you listen to people. So, like, I've been doing my detox, and for whatever reason, it's working really great. I always do. So I dropped like 15 pounds in 8 days. There's nobody on the planet that does this diet. I've talked about it. I wrote books about it, did shows about it. I am the only one on the planet that does this extreme. The 2 days with the sprinting on the treadmill, with the lifting of heavy weights in between, get off the treadmill, pick up the weights. Yesterday I was out there and I couldn't even do it. Like I said, as I've gotten older, I've noticed it's even harder for me to do my own workout at that level of intensity. I have to tone it down a little bit. So that's what I mean. That means that you got a system in place that came into your brain and you implement it and it's giving you the results in your life. That's what this verse is saying. Only God can do that, man. That's what's happening. That's what the whole point of the eclipse is. To get you back to the space where God can say, man, I gave you a brain. You're supposed to be down here representing me. You are my ambassador, not T.D. Jakes. You don't work for T.D. Jakes. You don't work for your supervisor. You don't work for your mama, your daddy. You're not no freaking disciple of Master Teacher 33. You're an individual expression of God on earth. The whole purpose of everything that I do, man, is for you to project and promote you. That was the whole website thing. If everybody's on the website, everybody's pictures in on the website, we're going to have a top-notch website where everybody's showing up on the website as their true, authentic self. You got worth and you got value. I've been encouraging and begging everybody, man. As a group, we could be a bunch of individuals, but we still have a group consciousness because my vision bleeds into yours. And there's power in numbers and in unity. But, as we all know, we all have conditioning. So Romans 12 is telling you what the problem is. Everybody has been fashioned alike. We all, like people start wearing skinny jeans. Everybody wears skinny jeans. People wearing, everybody's wearing wigs and weaves and everybody. I mean, I ain't saying it's good. I ain't saying it's bad. I'm just saying we're not supposed to conform our mind and our character and fashion it to a pattern based upon the world or somebody else's disposition. That's all it's saying. Do not do that. Do not be conformed to it. But be ye transformed, how? By the renewing of your mind. That you may prove what is good, acceptable, and perfect. So when your mind is transformed, your energy will be good, acceptable, and perfect will of God, not tradition of men. So no, how many people you know down here doing the will of God? How many people down here know what the will of God is? I'll tell you what his will was. The only person I know that said about establishing the will of God was my mentor, the great late Dr. Miles Monroe, who Jesus came preaching the kingdom. Jesus said, I ain't here to do my will, I'm here to do the will of my Father. What was the will of the Father? Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Where at? On earth, as it is in heaven. His will is for us to establish heaven on earth. So you got to ask, he told you what his will is. So unless you hear establishing heaven on earth, you're doing your own thing. Ain't nothing wrong with it, but let's keep it real. So when you start to really understand what's really going on, your vibration will start zing. You could be sick, you could be broke, you could be dumb as a box of rock, you could be single, but your brain will still be zing. Because why? You know that you're doing the will of the Father or source, which is what? To maintain the vibration of thought. We have thoughts. What is the vibration of thought? What is the vibration of thought? So source is sitting what is called neutrinos. They're going to go directly into the mitochondrial DNA. They're going to assist the mitochondrial DNA with creating more ATP and ADP, which is going to elevate your sodium and potassium pumps, which is going to allow you to activate what's called the myelin sheath and give you RAM or RAM or random access memory inside the brain. It will power your CA1, CA2, and CA3, as we talked about yesterday on the private show. When that happens, you create a halo. The energy from the black hole sun is going to animate you. Now you are in fourth dimensional thinking and five dimensional thinking. When you combine the 4 and the 5, that gives you 9 chi. That's how your DNA oscillates and starts to be. Now you become a part of the sun's electrical magnetic field. Your DNA is going to upgrade your vibrational state to the 9 vehicle, what they call Nineveh or Nineveh. That's why God told Jonah to take your ass to Nineveh. That's why there's 7 cities that the path gets close to. A cross is called Nineveh or Nineveh. It's going to activate your lamb 9 and your male 9. This shit is 9 ether. As I broke down yesterday. In conclusion, everybody's, myself included, has a lot of shit to process. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of what is called, we broke down yesterday in Second Barak, bright waters and dark waters. May God help you navigate through the bright waters and the dark waters that I broke down yesterday. It's extremely important, brothers and sisters. This happens once every 365 years. The fact, according to the ancient text, that you are able to do this, you chose to incarnate at such a time as this. Because your soul says, I'm ready to return. I've gathered enough experiences to take my life experiences instead of me going into the light, having them suckers wipe my brain, assigning me another pair rent, so that way they can be my controller and my handler, so I can be programmed so that the spark inside of me can be used as a fucking battery, so that way the NPCs who don't have souls can use me and siphon my chi. You said you don't want to do that no more. You do not want to be a sponge. You don't want the vampires to feed off of you. Well, if you're here and you've been listening to me for the last hour, you cannot do that because you got a soul. And you're tired, not necessarily tired, but your consciousness has elevated to the point where you pass hurt, you pass seeing, you pass learning, you pass seeing, now you're knowing. Now you are ready for fifth dimensional, and you're going to combine the fourth dimensional. Those two together, ching, elevates you to the ninth dimensional. This is about portal activation. That's what's happening on April the 8th of 2024. Your portal, your mitochondrial DNA, the DNA that came down from the mitochondrial Eve that's only passed down from the mothers, it's only passed down from the mothers, the Luna, is not passed down from the fathers, the Sun. That's why the Luna is in front of the Sun. That's why this is total Sun abandonment, as we broke down yesterday. So your portal soul aura is shifting higher, potentially, to activate your chi. This is the most important, let's use the word cosmic event. And we are all here, and we all get to participate. Now, sure, the powers that be, they're going to do a bunch of, false flag stuff, get y'all niggas all scared up, and, they're going to continue to do, like this, talking about with the devil comet and NASA shooting rockets into this freaking thing. They fired up Project CERN, or they're going to fire Project CERN to try to open up, a Batten's pit or Polygon, and ain't no telling what these good old boys got planned for us to try to get us off track and get us distracted and get us to collapse our vagal nerve, so that way you have tunnel vision and you block what God is sending. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be in a state of love, joy, peace, gentleness, meekness, self-control, chilling like a villain. So my brothers and sisters, make sure you guys get, if you didn't pick up the class I did last night, make sure you pick it up on what's all of the 21 points that we discussed about what's going down. Cost was, $97 for that class. Make sure you pick that up. Also, if there's anybody else, otherwise, I think I only have like 2 or 3 people that text me or email me about the website. Like I said, the total cost to get everything up and running is almost $3,000, which is really good compared to all the other quotes I got. That's for a website that have over 600 products on it, and based upon your investment, there's a $1,000 entry point and a $5,000 entry point. You have up to 50. That simply means that there will be a separate link. I can put up to the different amount, meaning that when somebody purchases something, the money goes directly to your PayPal account instead of to my PayPal account. So we can put each product will have its own payment gateway. But if we want to add more products or less products, the price will go up or down based upon that. Also, again, this is just a website that's basically what I already have, except it's just AI generated and AI automated. It is simply using the automate AI, so I can manage it a lot easier, and then also develop it a lot easier because it's AI based. So there's positives and negatives that. Once again, just a thought of how to monetize what we already have and what we've already done. Everybody has, and then it also comes with product development, meaning that if you don't have enough products, because with $1,000 investment, you have 10 slots, put it that way. With the $5,000 investment, you have 50 slots. So you may not have 50 products. Remember, I got 600. So all of this says and all of this does is it gives you opportunities to put your books and your stuff on there. And again, this is not something, this is just something that, because remember, I already have my stuff up and going. The universe, the world as we know is changing. It's going away from, let's use the word, long digital products. Everything is shorter now, so it got to be less than, I would say, 75 to 100 pages. Shows like this are going to be a dinosaur, a thing of the past. Now, man, you got like 15 minutes max to get your point across before the youngsters are like, they can't pay attention that long. There's nobody, over the age of 35 can listen to an hour show or read a book that's more than 100 pages. Those days are gone. So we gotta, like for me, I gotta dumb down, departmentalize my stuff. So my books, one chapter is a book now. So really, I have to kind of go back and redo some of my books that are really long. Like my book on Christmas, that's like 600 pages. Anybody gonna read a 600-page book? They're gonna go right to some AI. They're gonna put the title in the AI and say, please summarize this for me in 1 page. I do that because of time. So people are reading summaries now. So moving forward, nobody wants a story. Everybody just wants a result. So in the marketplace, I'm having to change. I like stories. I like explaining stuff in detail. I'm a fix. Unfortunately, that shit does not sell anymore. As I'm finding out. Now, nobody want to know how it works. All they want to know is, can you fix my flat tire? Okay, yeah, let me explain what I'm doing. I don't give a fuck how you're doing it, bro. Can you take that tire off, put the new one on? And can you do it fast? Okay, I'll pay you. But if you come telling them how great you are, how many tires you fit, click. When I do short YouTube videos, TikTok videos that just talk about the benefit, not the product, I get a bunch of listens. But when I go in and I do a 3-minute video explaining, and I still do them because I know that there's people my age that still like that. But all I'm saying is the whole world has changed. AI is here to stay. So we got to all think AI automation. And so one of the next classes I want to break down is what I'm learning, which is getting into AI automation is crazy, y'all. By the time I learn one, a new one is out. And it's so just like, so now we got to get the spirit behind AI automation, which is one of the things I'll be teaching next in the next pay-per-view. Is there's no way you can keep up with all of the chat boxes and the AI shit that's coming out. It's coming out too fast. But what you can understand is what I finally have gotten to a place of understanding is with AI automation, it's really about marketing, not selling. I've always been a seller. I've never been a marketer. There's a big difference between marketing and selling. So now I understand nobody cares about the truth. People just care about whatever is frequently repeated. So the person that is the most visible, that's the person that's making the most money. So you just can't pop up on Facebook or whatever every once in a while and talk about whatever. People only buy from people that they see. Because seeing in this young generation is equated to trust. For my generation, let's talk about seeing that I'm going to trust you. But in this generation, people are not interested in facts. People are not interested in truth. People are just interested in who they see. So now Hollywood been doing this. Hollywood spend a lot of money on advertising, and they just promote certain people. Taylor Swift, she's Super Bowl now. She's up there with the dude from football dude. She's all over TV. Nobody asks about her background, who she's from, who's her mom, who her dad. All the shit I do, they don't do. This is called shallow learning. Money now is equated to shallow learning. Deep thinkers still think deep, but just present shallow. That's what I'm learning. I love y'all, and nothing y'all can do about it. See y'all later on tonight. God bless.